Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Life is a constant flow, ever-changing and momentary. When we fixate on the future, we become prisoners of what has yet to happen. The mind, in its obsession with what's to come, creates a separation from the present, which is all that truly exists. We may daydream about the future, worrying about what it will bring, or reflect on the past, lamenting missed opportunities or mistakes. But in doing so, we lose the ability to truly experience what is unfolding before us. The present is like a river, and when we focus on the distant shore, we miss the beauty of the water beneath our feet. The nature of the mind is to constantly wander, always seeking something beyond the now. This restless desire to achieve or to escape can create a sense of disconnection. The present, though, offers us freedom from this turmoil. It is only in the present moment that we can feel alive, that we can sense the fullness of existence. It is easy to forget that the future is not a tangible thing, it is a projection, an illusion we create. The only reality is what we experience right now. Most of our suffering stems from this inability to stay anchored in the present. Anxiety grows when we live in a state of anticipation, constantly worrying about what might happen. The mind is caught in a cycle of projections, shaping narratives that take us far away from the immediacy of the present moment. Yet if we stop and listen, we can hear the quiet hum of life as it is, without the distortions of time and expectations. It is in this space that peace resides, not in the future or past, but in the present. When we stop and truly engage with the now, we can begin to see how everything is interconnected. The moment we think about the past or future, we separate ourselves from the flow of life. However, the present connects us to everything around us. It is where our bodies breathe, our hearts beat, and the world continues without our interference. The mind might try to pull us away, but the present is unrelenting, always beckoning us back to where we truly live. There is also a sense of wonder when we embrace the present. The world becomes vivid when we stop rushing, when we simply allow ourselves to experience the beauty of the present without distraction. This simple, yet profound awareness of the now allows us to see the richness of our existence. Each moment becomes an opportunity to witness life in all its detail, where even the smallest things like the rustling of leaves or the movement of clouds carry significance. The art of living in the present is not about perfect mindfulness, nor is it about chasing some ideal state. It is a practice of being open to life as it is, without judgment or expectation. The past and future will always exist, but they only have power over us when we allow them to dominate our attention. In the present, we experience freedom not from the past or the future, but from the mind's need to control them. In this space, we find ourselves as we are, without the pressure of becoming something else. The urge to control life often stems from a deep-seated fear of uncertainty and a desire to impose order on the chaos of existence. But this illusion of control is a source of suffering, as it leads to frustration when reality does not bend to our will. Life, by its very nature, is unpredictable, and trying to manage every detail creates tension between what is and what we wish it to be. In this struggle, we fail to see that life is not something to be controlled, but something to be experienced and allowed to unfold. In our attempts to control, we forget that we are part of a larger flow, a dynamic process where everything is interconnected and interdependent. The desire to micromanage every outcome isolates us from the rhythms of nature and the vastness of the universe. Rather than seeing ourselves as separate, isolated beings fighting to impose our will, we could view ourselves as participants in an intricate, ever-changing dance. When we let go of the need to control, we align ourselves with the natural order and the underlying intelligence of life itself. Control often implies fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of the unknown. These fears arise from an attachment to specific outcomes, a rigid sense of how things should be. But the more tightly we grip this illusion, the more we close ourselves off from the unexpected beauty that life can bring. The unpredictable moments, the surprises, and the things that do not go according to plan offer the most profound growth and joy. By surrendering control, we open ourselves up to the mysteries of the universe, trusting that everything will unfold as it is meant to. When we let go of the need to control, we create space for spontaneity and flow. The flow of life is much like a river. It cannot be forced to follow a predetermined path. Trying to force a river to run in a specific direction disrupts its natural course. Similarly, when we surrender to life's flow, we find ourselves in harmony with the world around us. We no longer resist the currents, but instead we move with them, trusting that they will carry us exactly where we need to go. This surrender does not mean giving up on goals or becoming passive, rather, it is about releasing the grip of ego and allowing things to happen as they will. It is an act of trust, trusting in our own ability to adapt, trust in the intelligence of the universe, and trusting that we are not alone in this vast, intricate web of life. When we release control, we invite the possibility of growth beyond our expectations, and in that space, new opportunities emerge that we could not have foreseen. To let go of control is to acknowledge the deep wisdom that exists in the unfolding of life. We are not the masters of the universe, nor should we be. Life is far too complex and beautiful to be reduced to mere management. When we stop forcing outcomes and start trusting the flow, we discover that life has its own timing, its own wisdom, and we need only to align ourselves with it rather than fight against it. In this acceptance, we find a greater sense of peace as we release the illusion that we are meant to control the world around us. The perception of separation between humans and nature is a deep illusion that creates a sense of alienation and disconnection. In truth, we are not distinct from the world around us, we are woven into the same fabric of life. The trees, the animals, the rivers, and even the air we breathe all share in the same fundamental energy. When we recognize this unity, we see that our actions, thoughts, and existence are not isolated, but part of an intricate dance with the entire natural world. The idea that we are separate from nature only leads to fragmentation and conflict. Embracing the interconnectedness of life brings us back into harmony with the flow of the universe. Our individual existence is but a brief expression of the ongoing process of life, and we are both shaped by and shaping the world around us. The earth and all its creatures are not just a backdrop for human activity, they are part of our own being. When we are in tune with nature, we become more attuned to ourselves. We begin to see how the cycles of life, birth, growth, decay, and renewal are reflected within us. Just as the seasons change and the sun rises and sets, so too do we experience shifts within our own lives. This understanding allows us to approach life with a deeper sense of reverence and acceptance. We often impose artificial boundaries between ourselves and the natural world, categorizing everything as either human or non-human, civilized or wild. This duality creates a false hierarchy that undermines the recognition of our shared existence with the earth. By seeing ourselves as separate, we justify exploitation and disregard for the environment. But in reality, our well-being is deeply intertwined with the health of the planet. The rivers that flow, the forests that grow, and the creatures that roam are not simply external to us, they are expressions of life that we are intimately connected to. Living artfully means understanding the interdependence of all things, recognizing that we are not masters of the earth but participants in its ongoing story. When we adopt this perspective, we cultivate a deep sense of responsibility, not from a place of fear or duty, but from an understanding of our place in the grand scheme of existence. The more we honor this unity, the more we can live in harmony with the natural world, fostering not only our own well-being, but the well-being of all life. The unity of life and nature is not just a philosophical concept, but a lived experience. It can be felt in the stillness of the forest, the rhythm of the ocean, or the quiet hum of the earth beneath our feet. When we slow down and observe the world around us, we can begin to sense the interwoven threads of existence. The birds that sing, the flowers that bloom, and the wind that blows are not separate from us. They are part of the same movement of life. Through this recognition, we come to understand that life is not something to control or dominate, but something to live with in mutual respect. This interconnectedness fosters a deep sense of belonging. In a world that often feels fractured and disconnected, the realization that we are part of a vast, interconnected web of life provides a profound sense of peace. We no longer need to seek validation or fulfillment outside of ourselves because we know that we are intrinsically linked to the larger whole. Our lives are meaningful not because of what we accumulate or achieve, but because we are an essential thread in the tapestry of existence. When we live in alignment with the unity of life and nature, we experience a deeper sense of peace, grounded in the recognition that we belong to something much greater than ourselves. Life is often approached with a sense of seriousness, driven by the need to succeed, achieve, and conquer. But this view of life as a struggle, where every moment is an obstacle to overcome, traps us in a constant cycle of stress and dissatisfaction. We become fixated on winning at life, measuring our worth by the achievements we collect. Yet in this pursuit, we overlook the simple truth that life is not a race or a contest, it is a form of play. Like a child who plays freely without concern for an outcome, we too can embrace life as a playful expression, where the joy lies not in the end, but in the experience itself. When we let go of rigid goals, we open ourselves to the spontaneous flow of life. Life, in its essence, is an unfolding adventure, and like a game, it is meant to be played with enthusiasm and curiosity. Each moment, with all its uncertainties and surprises, is a new opportunity for discovery. We do not need to force a particular outcome, but rather engage fully with the moment as it arises. Just as in play, the satisfaction comes from the participation itself, from the engagement in the experience, not from any specific result. The idea of life as a game encourages us to shed our fears of failure. In a game, there is no permanent loss, there is only the next move, the next moment. Similarly, life is not about avoiding mistakes, but about learning, adapting, and experiencing. When we stop measuring our success by external markers, money, status, approval, and instead focus on the richness of each experience, we can begin to enjoy the game of life more fully. We embrace both the joys and the challenges, understanding that they are all part of the same playful dance of existence. To live artfully is to step into life with a sense of wonder, like a performer on stage or a dancer in a ballet. The emphasis is on the movement, the rhythm, and the freedom, rather than on reaching a predetermined destination. Life, when viewed as play, becomes a form of creative expression. We are not mere participants following a script, we are co-creators, improvising as we go along. The more we let go of the notion that we must control every step, the more we can dance with the flow of life, allowing it to unfold with grace and ease. In a world that constantly pressures us to achieve and prove ourselves, we can forget that life is a gift to be enjoyed. The seriousness with which we approach our lives often prevents us from savoring the moments of joy, beauty, and wonder that are available to us every day. When we see life as a playful journey, we can learn to let go of unnecessary burdens and engage more fully in the present. It's not about what we accomplish, but about how deeply we experience the process. Every moment, whether filled with joy or challenge, becomes part of the playful dance that is life. Life as play offers us the freedom to be fully ourselves without the pressure of meeting expectations or reaching a fixed goal. It encourages us to embrace each moment with curiosity, openness, and joy. Just like a game, there are no right or wrong ways to live, there are only ways to participate. The richness of life lies in our ability to engage with it fully, to step into the unknown with a sense of wonder and excitement, knowing that the true purpose of life is not to win, but to be a part of the unfolding experience. Life is filled with paradoxes that defy our attempts to categorize and resolve them. We often find ourselves caught between opposing forces, light and dark, joy and sorrow, love and loss. These apparent contradictions are not anomalies to be fixed, but essential elements that make life rich and complex. Just as day cannot exist without night, pleasure cannot be fully appreciated without experiencing pain. It is within these polarities that the beauty of life unfolds. The art of living, then, is not about reconciling opposites, but learning to appreciate them as integral parts of the whole. When we approach life with the expectation that everything should be harmonious and consistent, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The truth is that life is messy, unpredictable, and constantly shifting. We may try to avoid discomfort, but in doing so, we close ourselves off from the full spectrum of experience. Accepting the paradoxes that arise in life allows us to open our hearts and minds to the richness of the human experience. Both joy and suffering are essential teachers that shape who we are. One cannot exist without the other, and to resist one is to deny the fullness of life. Embracing paradox means letting go of the need for clear answers and simple solutions. Life is full of mysteries that cannot be neatly explained. We cannot always understand why things happen the way they do, but we can find peace in the acceptance of their complexity. Just as a piece of music has both high and low notes, life too is composed of contrasting elements that together create harmony. By allowing ourselves to live within these contradictions, we experience the beauty of life's ever-changing nature, where each moment is a blending of opposites that gives depth and meaning to our journey. In many ways, it is the tension between opposites that makes life so vibrant. The contrast between light and dark, for example, highlights the beauty of each. The darkness of the night enhances the brilliance of the stars, just as moments of hardship deepen our appreciation of the joy that follows. Life without contrast would be flat, dull, and lifeless. The paradoxes we face are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth and transformation. When we stop trying to escape them, we begin to see that they are part of the natural rhythm of existence, and they guide us toward a more complete understanding of who we are. Our culture often encourages us to resolve paradoxes by choosing one side over the other, but this approach can lead to a fragmented view of life. By labeling certain experiences as good and others as bad, we limit our capacity to embrace life as a whole. Instead of seeing death as an end or pain as a punishment, we can learn to view them as natural parts of the cycle of existence. Just as the seasons change, so do the phases of our lives. Each season brings its own unique beauty and challenges, and all are necessary for the flourishing of life. Accepting this flow without judgment allows us to live with greater peace and appreciation for the present moment. To embrace the paradox of life is to acknowledge the inherent contradictions that shape our existence and to find peace in the coexistence of opposites. It is about seeing the world not in black and white, but in the full spectrum of color. It is about allowing ourselves to feel both sorrow and joy, to live with uncertainty, and to find wisdom in the tensions that arise between different aspects of experience. In embracing these paradoxes, we find not confusion, but clarity, a deeper understanding of the complexity and beauty of life itself. The search for identity often leads us to define ourselves by external factors: our job, our social status, our relationships, and the labels that society places upon us. We cling to these labels, believing they represent who we truly are. But in this attachment to identity, we lose sight of the deeper, more expansive nature of the self. The self is not a fixed entity to be grasped or owned, but an ever-evolving experience that is deeply connected to the larger web of life. When we let go of rigid definitions of who we are, we open ourselves to the infinite possibilities of being. Society encourages us to form attachments to roles, to create boundaries around our identity, and to compare ourselves with others. Yet these attachments limit our sense of self. They create a false sense of separateness, as if we are isolated individuals navigating a vast and indifferent world. In reality, our true nature is not confined to a role or a label. When we detach from these external markers, we begin to experience a more authentic sense of self, one that is fluid and interconnected with everything around us. We recognize that we are not isolated beings, but expressions of the greater whole. Non-attachment does not mean a lack of care or engagement with life. Rather, it is about relinquishing the need to possess or control. We can still love, work, and engage with the world, but without the compulsion to hold on to the outcomes or to identify ourselves with them. Attachment to ego and identity only serves to limit our experience of life. It keeps us bound by the need to be seen in a certain way, or to live up to the expectations of others. By shedding these attachments, we begin to discover the freedom of simply being, without the constant need to define ourselves or prove our worth. True self-realization comes when we recognize that the self is not a solitary entity, but part of the vast interconnected web of existence. The belief in a separate self creates a sense of isolation and fear, but when we shed the illusion of separateness, we come to understand that our essence is shared with all beings. We are not separate from the universe, but intimately bound to it, like waves upon the ocean. The more we detach from the labels and definitions that shape our identity, the more we experience our connection to everything around us. Living the art of life involves moving beyond the ego, not through rejection, but through understanding. The ego is not an enemy to be defeated, it is simply a limited perspective. When we let go of our attachment to the ego, we begin to see the world through a wider lens, one that embraces the unity of all life. This shift in perception brings with it a deep sense of peace, as we no longer feel the need to protect or assert ourselves. We are free to simply exist as part of the greater flow, unburdened by the constraints of self-identity. In the process of non-attachment, we discover that the self is not something we need to constantly strive to define or preserve. It is a dynamic, ever-changing expression of the whole, a part of the larger dance of life. The more we release our grip on ego and identity, the more we align with the true essence of our being. This realization brings a profound sense of freedom from the limitations of self-judgment, freedom from the expectations of others, and freedom to experience life as it truly is. Through non-attachment, we come to understand that we are not separate from the world, we are the world, in its endless expression. Meditation and mindfulness are not just practices to be performed in a quiet room or during designated times of the day, but ways of engaging with life itself. In our busy, chaotic world, the mind is often cluttered with constant thoughts, worries, and distractions. These mental patterns create a barrier between us and the present moment, preventing us from fully experiencing the richness of life. Meditation offers a way to clear this mental clutter, allowing us to find a deeper sense of peace. By quieting the mind, we are able to see the world more clearly, free from the distortion of our incessant thoughts and judgments. Through mindfulness, we learn to be present with whatever is happening right now. It is easy to get lost in our minds, replaying the past or worrying about the future. But mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware of the present moment, without attachment to thoughts, memories, or expectations. It's about observing life as it unfolds, without the need to control or change it. This practice helps us reconnect with the world around us, noticing the smallest details: the rustle of leaves, the texture of a stone, or the rhythm of our own breath. When we cultivate this awareness, we can experience life in its purest form, without the filters that often obscure our perception. Meditation is not about forcing the mind into a specific state, but about allowing it to settle naturally. It is an invitation to observe thoughts as they arise without identifying with them or trying to control them. The more we practice, the more we become aware of the habitual patterns of thought that shape our experience. Over time, we develop a clarity that allows us to see the impermanence and fluidity of all things. We begin to understand that thoughts, feelings, and experiences are like clouds passing through the sky there for a moment and then gone. This insight helps us detach from the constant need to hold on to or avoid certain experiences, allowing us to flow with life as it is. The practice of meditation and mindfulness also helps us better understand the nature of reality. It is easy to become caught in our perceptions and beliefs, thinking that the way we see the world is the only way it exists. But through mindful awareness, we come to recognize the impermanence of everything. We see that our thoughts, our emotions, and even our sense of self are not fixed entities, but ever-changing phenomena. This insight into the fluid nature of reality brings with it a sense of freedom. We no longer need to hold on to rigid ideas of what things should be, and we can begin to appreciate life for what it truly is. In daily life, mindfulness encourages us to slow down and become more attuned to the present moment. We often rush through our day, distracted by tasks and responsibilities, unaware of the beauty and richness in our immediate surroundings. But when we practice mindfulness, we begin to notice the subtleties of life, the way the light falls on a surface, the sounds of distant conversations, or the sensations in our body. This heightened awareness brings a sense of connection and presence, reminding us that life is happening all around us, even in the smallest moments. Through regular meditation and mindfulness, we are better able to meet the challenges of life with wisdom and equanimity. Rather than reacting impulsively or becoming overwhelmed, we cultivate a calm awareness that allows us to respond with clarity and compassion. These practices provide a foundation for living with greater joy, as we are no longer trapped by our thoughts or judgments. We can experience life as it is, in all its impermanence and beauty, knowing that every moment is an opportunity to live fully and with awareness. In embracing the art of living, we come to understand that life is not a destination but an ongoing journey. The principles of mindfulness, non-attachment, embracing paradoxes, recognizing our unity with nature, and letting go of the illusion of control all converge to point toward a deeper truth. Life is an unfolding process that is to be experienced, not controlled. By fully participating in each moment without clinging to rigid expectations, we begin to engage with life in a way that is authentic, free, and open to the mysteries of existence. Life becomes less about achieving specific outcomes and more about embracing the flow of experience itself. Letting go of our attachments, whether to ego, identity, or the desire to control, does not imply a passive approach to life. Instead, it opens the space for a deeper engagement with the world around us. It is in shedding these attachments that we find true freedom, freedom from the need to define ourselves by external labels and from the burden of forcing life to conform to our narrow expectations. In this release, we discover the richness of living artfully, in a way that celebrates the inherent beauty and uncertainty of being. The paradoxes of life, light and dark, joy and sorrow, life and death, are not contradictions to be resolved, but complementary forces that create the full spectrum of our human experience. By accepting and embracing these opposites, we deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world. The art of life lies in recognizing that these tensions are not obstacles, but invitations to experience life more deeply and fully. We learn to dance with the contradictions rather than resist them, appreciating how they shape the ebb and flow of our existence. Meditation and mindfulness provide the tools to connect with the present moment and cultivate clarity. These practices help us clear the mental clutter that often obscures our perception, allowing us to approach life with a calm awareness. Through mindfulness, we begin to see the world more clearly, understanding that reality is fluid, ever-changing, and beyond our limited conceptions. Meditation, in turn, helps us realize the interconnectedness of all things, fostering a sense of peace that arises from our ability to simply be, without the constant need to control, label, or define. In the end, the art of living is about presence, acceptance, and the ability to let go. It's about recognizing the interwoven nature of life, finding freedom through non-attachment, and fully engaging with the world in all its complexities. By embracing life as an ever-unfolding play, where the objective is not to win but to participate, we discover that true wisdom and joy come from surrendering to the flow of life. The more we accept life's paradoxes, let go of control, and engage with the present moment, the more we come to understand the profound beauty of simply being. Thanks for watching.